When it comes to craft beer, China is probably the last place you'd think to look. And with good reason. But craft beer does exist here. And during the last 3 years, the industry has grown exponentially. We traveled to the outskirts of the city to talk with a local brewer who's one of the driving forces behind this growth. So it may look like we're in a pretty noisy industrial area right now, but I'm here with Geezer, cheers,
Yes.
who makes some of the best craft beer in all of Chengdu. Geezer talked to us about how he got started brewing beer, at home with almost no support or funding. And at the beginning, he didn't have much success. When you were making beer at home, did you make a lot of money selling it?
No, in my home, I make beer and share with friends, and many friends say, oh, okay, this beer is good. In fact, I know that it's not very good.
There were virtually no resources in China at that time for brewing, and ingredients such as malt and hops were especially hard to come by. So you would roast your own malt at the beginning, right? Yeah, to get the different flavors.
Some special malt.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh wow, yeah. That actually tastes good. When Geezer first started trying to sell his beer to bars, he was met with a lot of suspicion. Do Chinese people, are they starting to like craft beer more? Is it becoming more of a culture?
In fact, at first, it's very no people know craft beer.
When you started?
Yes. They think this is used chemical to. They don't believe you can brew beer at home.
They didn't believe you that you could actually make beer.
Yes.
Yeah. This just goes to show how much the industry has grown, as Geezer is now one of the most well-known and influential brewers in this part of the country. But it wasn't always easy. One other really interesting thing that I've heard about you and your brewery, so there was a big fire at this brewery one year ago, right?
All of the brewery is burned, and but the good thing is many friends heard this thing and they helped me. Many club, many bar, many brewery, many home brewer. They buy some beer and the money is given me.
Geezer was being modest. Brewers, bars, clubs, and other supporters around China raised a huge amount of money for him, which allowed the brewery to recover so quickly. This recent craft beer boom in China has seen numerous other breweries and bottle shops start and fail, but Geezer has remained a constant. It's easy to see why when you try his beer, which we were lucky enough to do in the freshest way possible, straight out of the fermentation tank. Thank you, man. So which beer is this?
Smoked stout.
This is smoked stout?
Yeah, just now we got this beer.
Yeah.
It's very smoky.
Oh wow, yeah. That is such a distinct flavor. That's really good. Now that we'd seen where the beer was brewed, we decided to follow it to one of the places where it was sold, the Beer Nest. There we spoke with the founder, Dieter, another prominent figure in the craft beer scene in China. Here with Dieter now, down at the Beer Nest. Cheers. Drinking some damn good beer.
The new one.
That's right.
Grapefruit wheat.
It's good. Dieter, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, how you ended up in Chengdu and how you got started with beer?
Well, I did my master in Chinese studies in Zhongwenxi in Belgium. I'm here now for about 6 years.
And when did you actually start brewing beer?
I think around 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So before Beer Nest.
So, not in Belgium. Once you got to China, you got it.
I already love beer since young, but I never thought that I would really start brewing myself. And it's a hard process to
I've learned a little bit about it in the last week or so. It is hard. Let's talk a little bit about the craft beer and the imported beer scene in Chengdu and China in general, because that's changing, right?
It is changing still. Like I think the last 3 years when we opened Beer Nest 1, it's totally changed.
What about the Chinese market, like Chinese people? How do they view craft beer? Is this a thing that's been around for a while?
Not that long.
Yeah.
Really, I've been actually with Geezer. I think you guys already visited him.
Yeah.
I think we went 5 years ago to the first craft beer festival in China. It's from Master Gao in Nanjing.
Okay.
So we took a train there. We took a night train. And we everybody had like 10 beers to start it, get it going.
Yeah.
And we sent like, no, it was 4 years ago because I already had my own beer. So I took the Sichuan Ale there. So that was the first official China craft beer festival. So yeah, I would say 4 or 5 years, that's it.
Yeah, that's a really short amount of time.
It's still a very interesting process because there's so many new beers and so many new knowledge coming in, but there's also a lot of copycats. So it also gets a bit like, okay, people don't really do it for the passion anymore. People start really doing it for just the commercial side.
you told me one thing that really stuck out to me is, what's the name, the Chinese name for craft
Craft
beer?
beer is Jingyang Pijiu.
Jingyang Pijiu.
Yeah.
Has that word, like all other Chinese words, been around for 1,000 years?
No, actually I was involved in like choosing with the name. So it was like 4 years ago. I think it was more in Beijing at a craft festival. Like a couple of guys, we decided to like fix the name. Before there was different names going around, Shogun Pijiu or whatever.
Okay.
And after that time we were like, okay, from now on let's call it Jingyang Pijiu and let's kick everything else out and try to push people to really only use that term.
I like it. So this guy right here, he helped invent the Chinese word for craft beer. I'm gonna say it like that because it sounds badass and I think it's
But
cool.
it's still the same community, man. When
Yeah.
I went to I went to Beijing three years ago for the same craft beer festival. It's almost the same brewers and the same maybe craft beer owners, bars that are still there.
We went and met with Geezer. You know Geezer, right?
I know him I met him first time 8 years ago when I was traveling here.
Yeah. And one thing that he told us a little bit about is the fire at his brewery last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did he kind of recover from that? Because his brewery looks great right now.
Well, luckily he got really a lot of support, and he deserves it because he's such a cool guy. He hangs out a lot and he really shares information. So a lot of people around China supported him with tap takeovers, with like a special brewed beer master guy called the Firebird. Like he got in a lot of funding to build up a new brewery, and only because he's just a nice guy. He likes sharing and he likes hanging out with good people and then talk about craft beer and develop the scene together.
Yeah.
I think he's really responsible for half the craft beer scene in Chengdu.
Really?
Because everybody knows him. Even though he's really bad in marketing. He doesn't put his brand, he sometimes changes his brand, but just everybody, in 5 minutes somebody will refer you to him because everybody kind of knows him through somebody.
Yeah.
Dieter and Geezer have not only been close for years, but the Beer Nest almost always has one or two of his beers on tap. This shows how small and tightly knit the craft beer scene in China is. But both people we spoke to were excited for where it's going in the future.
It's still exciting. I think Chengdu opened up a lot of craft or draft beer bars the last month. Like there was a new 50 tap room, there's a new 30 tap room. But there's gonna follow way more. And I hope that people really follow their heart, that the owners and the partners really go for quality and that they understand it. It comes from their heart, from the passion.
Yeah.
Not just like, okay, I see my good or my whatever neighbor doing it, so I also want to do it and I think there's good money.
Not just copying people to make money.
But you can't really copy the feeling and the whole culture behind it. So some might survive, but yeah, if you're not there every day and really managing all the small stuff as well, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right, man.
Cheers, Aaron.
Cheers again. Thank you.